Good morning. My name is Doug Aguilera. I'm the chair of the California Board of Accountancy's Enforcement Advisory Committee. Today's meeting is being held virtually pursuant to Executive Order N1-22. The Department of Consumer Affairs has provided this online platform for the CBA to utilize, and DCA staff will be moderating today's meeting. The role of the moderator will be to assist with displaying information regarding agenda items and assist members of the public should there be public comment. For today's meeting, if a committee member or CBA staff would like to make a comment on an agenda item or ask questions, please use the hand raising tool. To raise your hand via desktop, click Participants in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, and then hover over your name until the raise hand icon appears. Then click on the icon. To raise your hand via smartphone, raise your hand from the More menu. When we come to parts of the agenda where we will ask for public comment, I will announce that we will now seek public comment and ask the moderator to open up the public comment feature. If a member of the public would like to make a comment, please click the Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen and type in that you would like to make a public comment. From there, the moderator will turn your microphone on and you can proceed to make your comment. With that said, let's start the EAC meeting and take roll. And I want to introduce Angie Acosta. Angie is now supporting the Enforcement Advisory Committee. And Angie, do you want to take a minute and say something about yourself before you take roll?
Just that my name is Angie Acosta. I've only been with the board for a few months, but it's been a wonderful experience. This has been an excellent team to be a part of, and I'm really excited to enjoy many more meetings with the committee.
Great. Thanks for your help and support.
You're welcome. So I'll go ahead and begin the roll call.
Yes, please.
Mr. Aguilera?
Here.
Kathy Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Cowley?
Here.
Mr. Gittleson?
Here.
Jackson Johnson?
Here.
Mike Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Crawl?
Here.
Mr. Palma?
Here.
Ms. Rossian? Ms. Rossian, if you said here, we didn't hear you.
She's not here, Angie.
Mr. Russell?
Here.
Mr. Sanji? Mr. Tegmeyer?
Here.
Ms. Siegler?
Here.
And with that, we have a quorum. Thank you, Angie. The mission statement. The CBA's mission is to protect consumers by ensuring only qualified licensees practice public accountancy in accordance with established professional standards. This mission is derived from the statutory requirement that protection of the public shall be the highest priority for the California Board of Accountancy in exercising its licensing, regulatory, and disciplinary functions. Whenever the protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. The next item on the agenda is public comments for items not on the agenda. The Enforcement Advisory Committee welcomes public comment during this section of the agenda. However, committee members are prohibited by law from engaging in dialogue or taking a vote on any matter brought up during public comment. If you would like the EAC to discuss a general topic, you can ask the committee to consider placing the issue on a future meeting agenda. provided it is not related to a specific case involving one of its licensees. If you have a pending application, investigation, or disciplinary charges, the CBA is prohibited by law from discussing any detail or receiving evidence or information during the public comment portion of the meeting. In order to allow the EAC sufficient time to conduct its scheduled business, public comment will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Please make your comments focused and relevant to the duties of the EAC. Are there any public comments? And I'll turn it over to the moderator to facilitate that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the moderator, and at this time, we have no members of the public in attendance.
Okay. We'll move on then to the report of the committee chair, including the approval of the December 2nd, 2021 Enforcement Advisory Committee minutes. If any member would like to make a motion, please use the raise hand feature. Once I call your name, unmute your microphone and make the motion. Can I get a motion to approve the December 2nd, 2021 Enforcement Advisory Committee meeting minutes?
So moved. I don't know how to raise my hand.
Was that Jennifer?
Yes.
Thanks, Jennifer. And if any member would like to second the motion, please use the hand raise feature. Or just call it out.
I second it. Dave Kroll.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments or discussion from the EAC members? I will now turn it over to the moderator to see if any members of the public would like to make a comment. Still no members of the public?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
And then Ms. Acosta, if you could please help us with the vote.
Mr. Aguilera,
Approve.
Kathy Johnson,
Approve.
Mr. Cowley,
Approved.
Mr. Gittleson,
Approve.
Jackson Johnson,
Approve.
Mike Johnson,
Approve.
Mr. Kroll,
Approve.
Mr. Palma,
Abstain.
Mr. Russell,
Approve.
Mr. Tegmeyer,
Approve.
Ms. Siegler.
Approve.
And the motion passes. Thanks, everybody. The next item on the agenda is the report of the California Board of Accountancy Liaison. We're lucky to have Ms. Owens here today. She's a CPA and our liaison, and we're very proud of her. Thanks, Ms. Owens. I'll turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Chair Aguilera, and good morning, everybody. I will provide a report on our committee from January 20 and 21st of 2022, our first meeting of the year. At the January CBA meeting, the CBA approved proposed amendments to CBA Regulation Section 2.8 to allow applicants to obtain and submit certified transcripts directly to the CBA with their respective applications, and create a method for educational institutions to submit transcripts electronically to the CBA. The CBA also approved recently modified text to the proposed regulations to amend CBA Regulation Section 19 regarding practice privilege forms for individuals. The modified text includes reference to the fee being set at $0 and eliminated any unnecessary and duplicative statutory text found in the proposed form. The CBA withdrew the rulemaking package associated with the proposed adoption of CBA Regulations 54.3 and 54.4 regarding the sale, transfer, or discontinuance of a licensee's practice. Due to the volume of comments received, the CBA directed staff to work with the commenters, Cal CPA, and other stakeholders to ensure the final regulatory text provides an effective framework for the sale, transfer, or discontinuance of a licensee's practice. Lastly, the CBA also reviewed proposed regulation and took position on 2 bills. You can view the CBA website for information on all bills the CBA is following. We will hold our next meeting via video conference on March 24th and 25th. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll pass it back to Chair Aguilera.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Are there any questions from the members for Ms. Owens? Maybe a comment about the transcript process. It sounds like it might be easier than it's getting easier and easier to apply for the CPA license through this modified or different transcript process. Is that right?
I think we're making it a little more efficient given the electronic means of communication that are available to us now, but I don't know if anyone else on staff wants to comment.
Good morning, members. I'll just follow up with that just a bit. Yes, things are getting easier to apply for both the exam and licensure. The board already actually is implementing some aspects of this electronic transcripts for some time now, and uses a service called Parchment, I believe, to allow for colleges and universities to submit transcripts electronically. This is just to codify that to make it clearer that we allow for that.
Thank you, Mr. Franzella. And Ms. Johnson?
Yeah, I'll just make a comment that I'm excited about this as well. As an adjunct professor, and I deal with students day in and day out, I believe this is just a great enhancement, and it does make it easier for students.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. We will now see if any members of the public have any questions, and if the moderator will now help us with that. Have any members of the public joined?
They have not. We just have CBA staff listening in right now.
Okay.
No members of the public.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. We appreciate you being our liaison. We appreciate you being at our meetings. The next item on the agenda is the report of the enforcement chief. And so I will turn the presentation of this item over to Mr. Franzella.
Thank you. Good morning, members. So the activity report before you today is for the first 5 months of fiscal year 21-22. And I'll just kind of go through the various sections. So beginning with complaints received, over those first 5 months, the CBA had received just over 880 complaints, which is a decrease of about 17% compared to the same period of the prior fiscal year. Moving on to investigations and investigations pending, which members can find on pages 3 through 5 of the report. Staff have closed just over 1,000 cases, with 98% being closed within 1 year. On page 4 of the item, members will see enforcement had closed 600 cases, enforcement has 600 cases in its pending investigations inventory. There were 5 cases that were over 24 months. 2 investigations were ongoing, and 3 investigations had reports that were currently under review by management at that time. Moving over to discipline, which is on pages 6 through 9 of the report. Looking first at the AG referrals, the CBA had referred 18 matters to the AG and had filed 11 pleadings, with the majority being accusations. We did have 38 matters pending at the AG's office at that time. And lastly, the CBA had taken action on 15 disciplinary matters, with the vast majority of those being the result of stipulated settlements. So looking now to citation and fines, which are on pages 10 and 11, the CBA issued 143 citations, with just about 75% of those citations being for the yearly CE requirement, commonly known as 20 and 12. On page 11, you'll see that the CBA had received 26 citation and fine appeals. We had withdrawn 11 of those during this period of time and affirmed 12. In several instances, the citation was withdrawn due to licensees providing mitigation not previously provided to the board, or in some cases, the licensee complied with the issues that resulted in the issuance of citations, for example, like providing responses or documents previously requested. Moving over to unlicensed activity on pages 12 and 13, the CBA had received 135 complaints regarding unlicensed activity and had closed 247, with the vast majority of those being closed for some type of compliance in the matter. In the middle of last year, we did launch a new online unlicensed complaint activity form, a more simplified version of a complaint form. And since that time, we'd received 26 complaints during the first 5 months of this fiscal year using that form. Moving on to probation, on pages 14 and 15, the CBA has currently 130 or had 130 individuals on probation, and we had identified 38 probation violations, with the vast majority being failure to submit quarterly reports and or cost reimbursement. Lastly, on the final page is information related to accusations that we filed during the periods between November 1 through December 31st, as well as the disciplinary matters that took effect during that window of time. So with that, I'll turn discussion back over to the chair and members, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Franzella. Appreciate you providing that report. Are there any members of the EAC that have questions? And Kathy, Ms. Johnson?
Thanks, Doug. Hello, Dominique. Just for clarification, the number of new investigations is the decline. Right now, we're looking at only 5 months of data compared to a full year of data for 20 and 21. Do you have any sense of like the timing of when complaints primarily come in? Because it's less than, it's way under 2021's number. So I'm just trying to gain a sense of, is there just fewer complaints expected this year overall?
As you can see, if you even look back to 1920, it was about 500 less complaints. So obviously the complaint process varies from year to year. There is no specific time period in which complaints may come up. And so if we look, I believe if we looked at the initial activity report, which I believe showed 2 or 3 months worth of data, we were 34% higher than we were at the same point last fiscal year. And then we dropped off since that time. So it just varies from time to time. Last year, I believe we had a tremendous amount of unlicensed activity complaints that attributed to a spike compared to 1920. And just as a preview for Board Member Owens as well, for members on this, we recently received about 200 unlicensed activity complaints within about a 10-day period recently. So I anticipate this will spike again, or at least plateau off in some particular way. So I don't ever try to forecast or guess what we may get from one cycle to another. It is just the nature of complaints and what we receive both internally and externally.
Thank you.
Mr. Franzella, a couple of questions. One related to page 4, where the average, my sense of it is the investigations pending has gone down from this chart and what we just discussed, but the average age of the open cases has gone up. Is there any one factor that you could attribute that to?
No, not necessarily. Obviously, we've seen some of the cases over 24 months begin to age a little bit, so it definitely affects the average. We've had a few more cases land in the 21 to 24 months compared to the prior fiscal year. So I don't know what the overall, I don't know if there's a corollary between the number of complaints that we have coming in versus the average age. It's just whatever's in the inventory at that time. And if one of those cases over 24 months is significant and is overly weighting the average, that could attribute to the increase in the days compared to the prior fiscal year.
Got it. Then the second question I have is there a lack of investigative hearings causing the delay? And then there's a second part to this is, what do you foresee in inventory with regards to the need for investigative hearings? We have 2 today, which is great. I'm just wondering if, us being virtual is causing any of the delay, and then what the future holds.
So no, the lack of investigative hearings are not affecting us now. I believe they did affect us at the onset of going virtual while we worked out trying to figure out how to conduct an investigative hearing virtually, but we cleared up whatever inventory that was. We are not necessarily beholden to the EAC's schedule in order to have investigative hearings. As many members know, if there is a need to have one, I can pull one together with just 2 members in an off-cycle time. So as for inventory, it is, or forecasting what we may have or if we may have more in the future. It's the same as trying to forecast the complaints coming in. I have no idea because there were stretches where we wouldn't have any, and then all of a sudden we would have 10 or 12 that would need to come up. So it really just depends on the nature and the types of cases, and whether especially on the technical side, the investigators have inventoried cases that need those types of expertise from the EAC members. And right now, when we're inquiring and doing our internal review, we don't have many that are in that bucket, but that could change between now and a week from now in terms of what's going on with an investigation.
Your work would be much easier if you had a fully functioning crystal ball.
I would agree with that, yes.
Ms. Moderator, have any members of the public joined?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, they have not.
And with that, I will note that the first investigative hearing today will begin at 10, and the second investigative hearing will begin at 1. And the next item on the agenda is adjournment. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Hopefully, we'll see each other in person one day soon. And with that, the Enforcement Advisory Committee meeting is complete, and we are now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.